Bharath Institute of Higher Education and Research, Chennai. Admissions open for BTech, BSc Agri, BPharm, Nursing, Paramedical and Arts and Science courses.
Richa Chadha, welcome to Galatta Plus. Such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. My pleasure to meet you for the first time in person.
There's always this thing that I've known you for a long time simply because I've been seeing you on screen for such a long
Yeah.
time. Because since the Masan days, the Gangs of Wasseypur, or even
Yeah.
before that, I wanna connect a real life event with you with possibly your stance as an actor.
Yeah.
Now, when Narendra Modi launched this click a selfie with a girl child campaign, you said it's a nice gesture, but the problems faced by women are not going to go away with such gestures, right? It's a fairly bold thing, a fearless thing to put out there on Twitter.
I think we were at a big UNICEF women event with like Bhamri Devi and the director of Rubaru Roshni at Ram-Leela Maidan in Delhi. And someone asked me this, and I said, how many people in this country have a camera with like a front camera that they can, take a selfie with the daughter with?
Right.
So I just thought there was a huge disconnect there.
Right. No,
Yeah.
but to kind of say it out, it
Yeah.
requires a certain amount, a kind of like a fearlessness, right? Would you say you're fearless as an actor as well?
I would say that, yeah, because I think my career has been built on risks that conventionally not a lot of people take.
Right.
And I actually marvel at how I even am here still, like because I got written off so so many times, particularly after like gangs or even my first film that I did straight out of college, Oi Lucky. I had a small part
Small
in
part,
that,
yeah.
but it was a really spicy, delicious part. I'm always looking for things that I can do to surprise myself and then thereby the audience as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So tell me now, you have a very impressive resume, right, with directors.
Yeah.
So I want to know, did you have auditions for Oi Lucky with Dibakar?
I had auditions for Oi Lucky with so Kanu Behel came to watch me in a play. He was associate with Dibakar at the time, and he said, I want to audition this girl for this particular part. And he was the one who took my audition and really hard sold me.
Right.
Yeah.
So take me through that audition because I'm always fascinated with stories of a first audition for a film.
It was really nice, and I was quite warmed up because I was working on a play at the time. So, when an actor's warmed up, they're not afraid to try things. I remember the Kanu had just put the camera on a stand, and he and I did the whole scene. So it was quite physical, and my audition scene was the seduction scene from Oilaki, where he goes to visit her, and she's like, "Oh, why don't you, check the coffee? Does it have enough sugar and all that?" So it was a really intense audition and really fun. If you know Kanu, you know he's intense. And yeah, that didn't hear back from them for a while. And then suddenly they were like, why don't you come and act in this? And like straight after my education, I was super thrilled because I knew Dibakar as the director of Khosla Ka Khosla. And then people were like, oh, Dharmender's nephew is really cute. So I was very happy to be on that set actually.
But films are always part of your plan.
Yes, films are always part of my plan. I mean, I was pretty certain that I'd either do theater and then with theater the thing was if I have to only do theater, I could move back to Delhi and do it because that's kind of like the hub. But films, obviously, the access is so crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Now, again, speaking of auditions, uh, you know, how did Gangs happen?
Not with an audition.
So
Yeah.
Anurag didn't.
No. So I auditioned again with Vasan Bala for Dev D. In this, I think the day after I auditioned for Ilaki. Like I said, I was working on the play at the moment with my guru Barry John. So I was super warmed up. And I did that audition, and they were like, oh, it was amazing, and you might get a call, etc. And then I heard that Anurag went with someone who looked very, very different because he wanted to create a visual contrast between like Mahi Gill, and hence Kalki was, broke out with that film. She's a really good friend, and she's amazing in that film as well. So I understood his thought process and I forgot about it. And then when Gangs happened, around the same time, I think I did a short film with Vasan Bala again called The Wet Bride, which was a ridiculous experimental short film about a woman who was singing a Kannada song uh, to a guy, and she's actually a vampire. She's
That really sounds like Vasan.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was in a like a Christian bride attire, and basically she had drowned or something, and she was haunting his living space, and she's
Is
screeching,
this
and
out on YouTube?
I'm gonna try and find it and send it to you because I think it was hilarious. It was with Avinash Tiwari.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So it
Uh,
was like back in 2010, mid of 2010.
he's been around since then.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
It's taken him a while then to
It
break
takes,
out.
that's why, sometimes I just feel like really, no matter what the industry benchmarks of success are, I feel super grateful to just be here. Like, when I look at actors like Jaideep, who was with me in Gangs, who broke out fairly late after that, or even Avinash, I mean, they're incredible.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was the thing. And I think someone was playing it, and it was around the time that I was running my house with like TV commercials and theater gigs. I was doing a play at Thespo with Quasar, and all those things were happening. So typical Bombay struggler life, going to Kalari class and going for voice coaching and doing all that. And then I heard that someone in his office was watching Wet Bride, and there was an ad of mine that had come. He was like, "Are this? Lots of people have said no to this Nagma part. Let's call this girl." So he literally called me like that, saying, "This one has said no. This one has said no. This one has also said no. Would you do it?" So I was like, "Yeah, can you tell me about it?" So he told me like verbally that this is a story, it spans 30, 40 years, and this is a thing, and it's based on a real life family, and this is the guy who's from Wasseypur. And so I was like, it sounds like really like a great part. So I didn't think twice about it.
Yeah.
But later I realized why so many actresses had turned it down. Because
Why?
of the aging bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Strange, no?
I thought that would be a challenge.
Yes, that's what I thought. But I mean, I don't know. The Hindi film industry is not really, it can be very myopic. Yeah.
Okay. Even today?
I think so.
Okay.
In their own way. In
Okay.
their own way.
Right. So, Masan,
Yes.
again, audition?
No.
Okay.
Because Neeraj was the continuity supervisor on
Ah, so
on
these
Gangs.
connections, yeah.
So actually, Neeraj was there. Then Vicky was also an AD on that film, and Rajkumar was meant to do Masan initially. Rao,
Rajkumar Rao.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
but and Neeraj was like, you're so good in this thing, and you've played young and old so convincingly. I'm writing a script with my lyricist friend Varun Grover. I was like, yeah, I know Varun with Sneha. We worked on Oi Lucky together. So it was like a little gang, and they were like, we're looking at lives of girls in like B towns and what gets them excited, what they get off on. Would you be interested in? So I said, yeah, for sure. And that then he wrote it pretty much for me, and then I was in it.
Right, right, right. And
Again, in a weird way, the poster of Masan that even got used finally with my face looking a little bit sad is shot on Vasan Bala's camera at Warsaw Beach.
wow.
Because he
This
needed to
is like
put a
a,
docket together.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I should send a bouquet to Vasan.
Yeah, like a circular
Because,
thing, everything coming
yeah,
around in
to,
circles.
to Vasan, no? It's so funny. Yeah.
And finally, Ram-Leela.
Yes.
That was an audition as well.
No.
That again was a direct.
Yeah, that was a funny call at like 11 in the night from the casting director Shruti saying, Sir likes your face and he wants his reference is Mita Patil from Mirch Masala. See, he wants a typical rage in the eyes with like that coal and that slightly smoldering feeling. The part is very sexy. It's called Rasila, but she goes through a whole gamut of emotions and all. Would you like to try it? I was like, what do I have to do? I had no idea about the Bhansali world till then. So then they just called me for a look test, put me in a bunch of like oxidized jewelry and lots of coals and put like dots on my face, and I was just there. So then I got it, I don't know, Actually, now that you say everything, nothing good in my life has come from an audition. Maybe I suck at auditions and people just cast me randomly in things that they want, you know.
Now that you mentioned that it's a sex, you said this essential or sexy part, the chemistry that you and Sharat Kelkar had in Ram-Leela,
Ram-Leela.
it was really smoldering.
Really?
Yeah, it was like one of the sexiest on-screen couples that I've seen.
Really? That's a
Yeah,
compliment.
you guys really were setting the screen on fire. I'm like,
Really?
that was, and like you're not even the main
Yeah,
leads.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
you're on the little on the side.
Yeah, I mean, the
So
main leads definitely had chemistry
yeah,
and they,
yeah,
they hit
yeah.
it
But
off
this
after
was like
that film.
really because you have to feel that the loss when that happens, and I thought that was very good casting for both your sides.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
The loss, I don't know. I think we were on a tight schedule and Sharad had a flight to catch and Sir was very angry with him because he was like, I have to leave at 6 o'clock. And he was like, my shot is just ready. Okay, Richa, you have one take to cry. So I was like, yeah, yeah, okay, I'll cry in this one take. I think that really impressed him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fast forward all these years later to Heeramandi, and one of the things that's been making the rounds recently
Yeah.
when you've been doing your interviews is that you did these 99 takes, right?
Yeah.
Now, I want you to explain because there are many directors, there are two schools of thought, right? Like Spielberg, for instance, says that I can try to perfect this all day, or I can move on and try for the next shot and try to make that as best as I can and finish the film soon.
Yeah.
While everybody's energy is still high,
Yeah.
there's another school that's probably Bhansali. There's the Tamil director called Tyagarajan and Kumar Raja. There's David Fincher, who go for many, many takes as long as they want. Now, as an actor, I want to know what is your mind space like during, let's say, take one, two, three, then during take 20, then take 40, take
So
60. So, how, like, because obviously something is happening to you, right? Because even though, yes, you know the lines, you know this, everything's there, but
it was not a line scene.
it's a dance scene.
It was a dancing. And now with dancing, this guy is a master because he himself is a classically trained Odissi dancer. So he knows the tal, he knows the rhythm. I am trained in Kathak, which is a very different form. So for that scene, I think he did a mixture of like Kubrick and Spielberg because he did 99 takes. He didn't get what he wanted and he was like, back up, and he left. Then after a few days, when we got it, he was like, I'm not happy with that take. I was like, yeah, I know. What do you want me to do? He was like, let's do it. And we canned it in 20 minutes. I just saw a video on my phone where I'm discussing this with somebody कि उस दिन 99 में नहीं हुआ, आज 20 minutes में हो गया. I
So,
think so.
what was the exact thing that
I think also it's like he and I were doing a song for the first time. The song per se is not just a song, it's like a
this is the one where
full.
you're at Adhyan Suman's wedding? That
Yes.
song, that
And that is very, like, the premise of that is very sacred to him. It's like from Pakiza being invited to your lover's
yeah,
wedding to perform a mujra, which in itself is a very humiliating
yeah.
premise. So he was very like, you got to live up to something. And he's not just happy with the dance. He wants the drunkenness to come through. He wants the delusion to come through that she's dressed like a bride. He wants the Kathak, the footwork, and everything to be perfect, but he wants a breakdown in real time and in a single round trolley shot with the camera slowly zooming in. The thing is, I give him full credit because he is a master. Now, when you look at it, like when I open my tags on Instagram, that's the one take that people have just like recorded on the screens and sent, wow, wow, amazing. So that, like, he definitely knows what he's doing.
Right,
It's just that the standards are high.
right.
And for me, I'll tell you on that day, after take 20, which was normal, because I'm not hitting the mark. Also, he put this big
Yeah.
guldasta on my head. So I take a turn and the
It's
roses
almost like a
will hit
Sahara kind
me.
of thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really heavy. So I was like losing balance. The roses were hitting me. The costume was very heavy. So I would take a spin and I wouldn't land on the mark because the weight of the dress has taken me here. Then I'm like, okay, wait, I have to reach here. So he was kind of losing patience with me. He was like, in this take, there's no drunkenness. In this take, the dance is not good. In this take, the eyebrow didn't arch at this point of time. So there was always something. And he is not of the school of thought that You can cut and take a dance. He wants long takes. So I think I thought I was like, I'm not drunk. So I called for a gin after 6 p.m. when there was only three hours left for the shift. I was like, यार एक quarter ले आओ क्या पता सच में drunk होना पड़े. So there I am. The ADs are giving me looks and I'm like slowly swigging it. Then I'm like, I'm not used to alcohol. This is gonna make me pee. And you know what am I going to do in this dress? I can't even get out of it. So I just like sucked it up and I just didn't move from there for those. I think it took 8 hours for that 99 takes to happen.
Right, but what are you going through mentally as an actor? Is it like, are you exhaustion?
Complete
What?
annihilation of the ego
Right.
is what I'm going through at that point of time. I think in some ways it's a good thing, not because I'm a masochist, but because it's like you go on another set and someone will say, "अरे आप तो कर लोगे, आप तो gangs करके आए इतने छोटी उम्र में," and then you realize that no one's pushing you that way.
Yeah.
So I would say I was totally demolished. But the next day I woke up with resolve that I'm gonna do it. Like if people think I can't do a lip sync song, they're so mistaken. So I came with that resolve, and we got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you really nailed that, because I think Sanjay likes his heroes and heroines to be a little off, like a, I don't know if the word is a little mad, but whether they whatever they're doing is, there's a little bit of that that madness, that
Yeah,
a little craziness, like
for sure.
whether it's Devdas or whether it's whatever movie,
Yeah,
there's always that eccentricity. Maybe is the word. There's a
yeah,
little off, like they're not
yeah.
like just like, oh, I'm sad you're getting married. There's also that one extra dimension of craziness,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's, I think you really nailed that. So that was,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's and then the thing is that's like people say he's really hard to work with, but I found him to be the most collaborative. Like he's just amazing that way. Like in that cafe scene is there, in which she goes to see his lover's fiance or her lover's fiance, and then at that point, the costume was quite simple, and he was giving me these glasses. I was like, can I take the smallest, weirdest glasses, and I'll never take them off through the scene except when I have to bang and do all those things. He's like, yeah, but what are you going to do with them? I was like, I'm going to use my eyes like a crazy person. Because she's aware that she's drunk. A drunk person doesn't let on easily that they're drunk. But, there has to be a little sway and there has to be a little demeanor of shamelessness, like also losing self respect publicly in front of so many people.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, yeah, show me what you'll do with the glasses and use them. So I find him to be very collaborative. Even for my solo Mujra song, he let me pick the song. He called me one day on the rehearsal. He said, don't think of it like a song. Think of it as how, like, if your character is really singing in this situation and you know where it leads, which is the one song out of these three that you will use? Because he did the music
Like
also.
he
So
played you the tunes.
he played me the three songs on his headphones. He's like, यहाँ बैठ के सुनो और बताओ कौन सा है. Then I was
Full
like, sir,
songs, lyrics and all.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm saying, who does that?
Right.
Usually, a director, producer, especially someone who's done the music, is so protective about what they've made. No, 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 you will only do this. And I worked with those directors also.
Now, Richa, there's this, not that I don't think there is anything wrong about comedy or like, drama is better or something like that. But most actors, or even the Oscars, if you see the best actor or best actors, typically they go to people who are playing these big dramatic roles, right? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
rather than, because comedy is also hard to do, but it's
yeah,
hardly recognized.
yeah.
But given your resume and given the people you worked with,
Yeah.
was it surprising to you that today you are best known as Bholi Punjaban from the Fukrey series for a big
Yes,
mainstream audience?
absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, it's not surprising because the character is so, again, so spicy. Uh, you know, for the first time I read the script, they've like for the first 3 pages before her introduction, people are just talking about her. They're building her up like Gabbar Singh, like भोली चिड़िया नहीं चील है कॉफिन में आखिरी कील है. All those rhyming parts, and coming
And your
from Delhi,
costumes.
my costumes, my tattoo, my animal print nails, my barcoded helpers from Nigeria with the barcode tattoo, and it was just fantastic to do that part. I mean, see, this is a risk again. Because even when I was signing it, people were like, "Arey, why did you do this? Skincare category block ho jayega. People won't call you for shampoo ads." I was like, "Yeah, but there's no other."
Sorry, people won't call you for shampoo ads because of Boli Punjaban.
Yes. How to explain how, I don't know. So now I'm in a different phase of my life. Now I'm married, I'm pregnant, right? So my image is sort of softened. Now I'm getting a lot of atta chakki, endorsement offers. But at the time, it was like, what do women sell to you in this country? They sell
Right.
you domestic products, kitchenware,
Beauty.
cosmetics,
Yeah.
and things like that. And if they have a broad enough audience, maybe life insurance or some soft drink.
This is fascinating.
This is the other side of the risk business. This is the business side of that. That you take a risk as an actor because you're really hungry and you want to do that part because it's going to be iconic. And then it's sort of, they're like, no, yaar, what the hell? Why did you do this? But uh, that's the machinery.
So the logic is that if you play
A
a very
rowdy
strong, like a
ruffian. If you,
ruffian and like a whip lashing kind of person,
yes,
then the shampoo people won't come and call you
yes,
because they want softer image people.
yeah,
But आपका career even before that, it was not like really soft kind of things, no?
yes,
But
yes. No, it wasn't.
yeah.
But
Because you always one thing that comes to mind when I think of you is brittle. Because I love that I mean every actor you associate some 10 adjectives,
yeah,
and one of the things that I associate with is brittle because I feel that you can be strong, but when I see you in Masan,
yeah.
it's also like you can break at any time.
Mm.
You know that brittleness is like
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful quality to have, and I
yeah.
think that I mean, I honestly don't want to get tied down by labels, like because then they don't. People just have no intelligence about what an actor should be choosing. Boli is such an iconic character. In the north of India, I mean, I don't know, like I'm known as Bholi. Yeah. Honestly, I'm a really soft and tender person inside. I'm no nonsense, but this Bholi image really works for me in Bollywood because people don't want to mess with me. So I'm like, you can think what you want to think, but but it's such a great character.
But tell me one commercial that you did in
Yeah,
the very, very early stage of your career. I'm just
yeah,
curious, like how
yeah.
does it work? It's like they call you and say, there's a dishwashing liquid, why don't you sell it? Is that what happens? Or
No, so I've done commercials. I did a skin commercial. I think in my struggling days, I also did an engine oil commercial
oh,
where I walk out of a truck in a lehenga and I'm trying to sell a engine oil. I'll try and find and send it to you. But you know what I mean? It's like it's it's not ever going to match up to the immortality of a character like Bholi
yeah.
or a character like Lajjo, however brief it may be. These are the things that I'm interested in as an actor.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
and exploring different facets and all. I had to audition for Fukrey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were like they just said this is part and what did you do? Which
I had to do the audition of the scene in which she's. Ironically, I don't think I've ever spoken about it. Bholi is one in one lungi and kurta with scotch and kebab. And she's called someone to entertain her for the evening, and her henchmen are around her. And the person she's called to entertain her is Zafar, who's the musician, who's Ali, my current husband. But that track was scrapped off. And then Chucha, the funny guy who's not all
who's Varun
there, I
Sharma?
think, Varun Sharma. Then he replaced that track and he started talking about. So that was my audition scene. I had to be like, और सुनाओ और हमें दिखाओ कुछ. So,
Right. But when you got the script, you were like excited about it.
I was very excited, yeah. Because you can see the lead up to,
Right.
where it goes and you can't make Fukrey without this character. I was like,
Right.
at that time, nobody knew there'll be a sequel and another one in that mad world. But there was always that feeling that this is going to be one crazy character.
Yeah, and that always amazes me because you try to plan your life a certain way, going after certain directors, and out of the blue a Fukrey happens,
Yeah,
and then that suddenly gives you a higher profile
yeah.
than anything you could have imagined.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was really, and it gave me access suddenly, and I was very grateful to for it. That it may have reinforced a certain stereotype of being really brash and bold and outspoken and foul-mouthed, especially after Nagma. But it suddenly people were like, oh, she's young. Actually, she's not old, you know, because that was the thing that.
Because of gangs.
Yes, because of gangs. I can't explain to you how frustrating that was because I was like, the men are also aging, yeah. Why don't you, talk about the men? But yeah, that's so I was really grateful for Fukrey in that sense. It was still people around me who were like doing young and silly things. It was a college buddy comedy kind of
So
film.
perception is really everything.
Perception, unfortunately, and the thing is, you can't tailor make it in the beginning of your career because you don't understand positioning also fully
Right.
because you're not from the industry, and you're just like you as an actor have gone to theater school and Adi Shakti and all and trained in all this to feel like I wanted the juiciest parts. But the reality of the industry is that a lot of actresses are encouraged to not look at the juicy parts, but look at the parts with the more songs, with the more like, I'm going to be so glamorous right now.
Your hair is flying behind you.
Yeah,
Yeah. But you
yeah.
never done one of those romantic, fully romantic kind of roles, right?
No, no, no. I did. I think I was a runner-up in some audition for a few of those, like Vicky Donor and all.
Okay.
But then that's again like Shujit Da, Yeah.
So again, does this perception of because you worked with Vasan and Anurag and Dibakar,
Yeah.
is that also a perception that oh she's the indie type actress and
That was for a few years that was that. I had to consciously break it. Not because I wanted to not be indie, and not also because I was vying for any commercial parts, because frankly, there weren't commercial parts that were juicy enough for me.
right,
I didn't want to be, the third girl in some franchise film in which there's
right,
just
nothing.
insipid stuff happening. But I wanted to break that because there's no money there, nothing at all. So if you want to grow in life and do graduate to better things or bigger parts, that that aspect is always there.
Nice.
I had written a short film called Life and Times of an Art House Pinup, because after Gangs in Masan, for a while, if there was a role of like a really struggling, impoverished woman who, so I'm not even joking to you. I'll tell you a narration I got in a cafe in Aramnagar. You know the Aramnagar ecosystem, right? Director's met me who looks like he's not eaten in 3 days. Okay, so he's come and sat down, and he wants a coffee, and he's looking really hungry. So I'm like, why don't you have a bagel also? And then I'm feeding him, and he's narrating to me a story of a woman from a scheduled caste in rural Bihar who is working on a field, and like her lover gets abducted by the sarpanch. She gets gang raped. When she goes to complain to the police, they kill her lover. In the jail, she's tormented so much that she loses one leg in the jail. So at the end of the thing, she's kind of smuggling cocaine in her body on one leg while dying slowly of malnourishment in a field.
I'm sorry,
This,
I'm not sure whether I should laugh or not, but this sounds outrageous.
it sounds outrageous. It's like someone's read the paper and taken 3, 4 tragedies, amalgamated them into a character full of so much pain that I am not sure who will watch this film.
No,
And when
also
I'm
like it doesn't seem organically like a problem-oriented movie. It seems like a sensationalistic film.
Yeah, I mean, and the rape scenes are gratuitous, the lovers being hung from a tree. And I'm like, what is going on? And that guy's like, no one can do pain like you. So we want to do this only with you. If you don't do it, then we won't make it. I was like, perhaps that's for the best. But then,
That's brutal.
what do you do? This guy is looking like he's going to faint out of malnourishment on his own. So I've given him one brownie, one cold coffee, one thing. I'm like, okay, thanks, so nice to meet you. But then I came back and I was thinking that this is what people, मतलब सब सबसे नाखुश चीजें जिंदगी में they all come to me. So I was like, I must write about this because I'm actually really, I love comedy. It's my favorite genre actually. So
Right,
I was like, I'm going to make this. But then those were the AIB days, and they did a lot of sketches which are similar about
right,
the film industry. I cast real people in it, like
right,
Sudhir
right.
Mishra. There was a Sudhir Mishra quote generator. like in the film. And like a director who comes out, a producer comes out of a big fancy car and gives you a fistful of grain, like ये लो एक मुट्ठी अनाज, तुम्हारी अगली फीस का signing amount, thank you. And it had stuff like that happening. So
No, no, you spoke about Masan.
yeah,
That's a lovely part, obviously, but it's not an acting part in the sense that there's a lot you keep inside you,
yeah, there's a lot
right?
of restraint in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's not. It's not like like you're expressing a lot of stuff. Maybe with your father, Sanjay Mishra, you maybe you have a couple of scenes,
Yeah.
but it's so much of restraint.
Yeah.
I want you to take me into how you play a scene. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when you're having lunch with Pankaj Tripathi after you get the railway
Job.
the job, and you're having lunch with him, and he's offering you kheer, this, that, and all that, and out of the blue you said, "आप अकेले रहते हो?" So
Yeah.
then he says, "I live with my father," but I love the way you just out like it's just so sudden, you know. It's like oh, I've been meaning to ask this guy what is he about,
Yeah.
but then it just comes out so suddenly. I just
Yeah.
love the way that आप अकेले रहते हैं, that
Yeah.
the way it comes out. Now that can you just explain how an actor brings out a moment like that in a character like that?
The thing is, so much of Masan was just solo acting for my character. She was going into places, she was going to look for a job, she was going to the lover's family, she's investigating. She's always kind of alone on a journey, trying to find some way to redeem herself
Right.
and make it feel bad. And she has curiosity about sex, like a healthy curiosity. And she's punished for it by
Right.
patriarchy. And that's kind of like why the name Devi comes in. And I think that so much of her yearning was to be free, even from the dad and from the small town and
Right.
the mentality of people there. So when she meets this character who's very happy with kheer and a railway job, and she's kind of like that railway job, she wants to make some money and do tuitions and move to maybe Allahabad or a slightly bigger city. Like maybe she can finally afford a Fab India kurta or something. That's her aspiration. So when she meets this chap who's so content, who's like, आप मनुष्य योनि में आपने जीवन का कुछ मजा नहीं लिया अगर आपने खीर नहीं खाई, so she's like, he's quite happy, just being himself and eating kheer. And the answer is not very satisfactory to her. Because she's like, आप अकेले रहते हैं? He's like, नहीं, हम पिताजी के साथ रहते हैं, पिताजी अकेले रहते हैं. That is just classic,
Yeah.
And I love that about Grover and Neeraj. Just they together they're a dream, but even just getting into the psyche of a human being in that way,
Right.
it was so beautiful.
Right. So when you're doing that out of nowhere thing,
Yeah.
is that you or is that part of the script? Ki, like she suddenly says this.
No, I don't know. I mean, it's me only
Yeah.
because you have to be very alive in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I just love that scene because it's like I'm sensing she's curious about this guy,
Yeah.
but she doesn't want to kind of get too into
Yeah,
that,
and
and
she doesn't
because
want
she's
to.
had a bad experience, she's kind of wary.
Yeah.
She's putting a fortress around her.
She just wanted to rude also that, are you single or like, what is your deal? She's
Yeah.
just curious about him.
Yeah.
But I love those parts that are
Yeah.
so complex and they have so much going on.
Right, and the complexity is so hidden.
Yeah.
Like when you see her upar se, you're like, okay, she's following this journey. But then, like you say, this lovely explanation that you gave about why she's interested in, curious about this
Yeah.
Pankaj Tripathi is like, dude, I'm suffering so much. How can you be so happy? You seem to
Yeah.
be single. You're happy with kheer. Like, what is this deal?
At the end of it, when he says, I live with my dad, she's like, oh God, he's like me. He's also living with his dad. My dad is also staying
Right, and you don't
alone.
say that.
I don't say that, but it's just
it's
there, like,
implied, yeah,
acha.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
like that.
And also he says something, I forget now. It's like been so long, but he says something additional like पिताजी अकेले रहते हैं, something like that.
हाँ, he said, मैं पिताजी के साथ रहता हूँ, पिताजी अकेले रहते हैं.
Something.
So it's like just genius that moment is actually.
Yeah. Have you been looking up the reviews on Heeramandi?
Not really. I looked up yours, I won't lie. I was very happy. I even sent it to sir. But yeah, otherwise, no, not really. I don't look up reviews, because of the reason that we discussed actually off camera. Some of it is really catty and unnecessary. But I always feel like if I read too many good reviews, it'll get to my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about if you read too many bad reviews?
That will also get to my head. So I don't read them, especially after Gangs. I used to read all the reviews at that time. Then there was this glowing review by Karan Anshuman about saying that there's a moment in Tar Bijli Se Patle when she breaks down. It's a masterclass in acting. I read that and I felt so like good about myself. And I think for 3 days I was kind of on a cloud, and then I was like, no, no, this is not right. It's going to get to my head. So then I just decided not to read any interviews,
But you do know,
reviews.
right? Isn't there some kind of self-awareness that over the years, I am a good actor, I'm capable of this. Isn't that already there?
I'm 100% confident of what I do in my process, but a lot of it is very subconscious. I feel like I read the script, I make my notes with it, and I have to really connect with the character at a deep level. So I feel like that spontaneity, that magic, that sort of becoming someone else, it doesn't happen if you take yourself too seriously.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
This is my learning from my guru. I feel like I have to, in every moment, I have my breakdown should seem as real as it was in the previous take. Let it be 99 takes. But if I start thinking ki, अरे कर तो दिया मैंने, and like then it doesn't
So
work.
there's a kind of submission happening there. Like
Yes.
you're like you said, destruction of ego. That
Yes, I feel like that's very important for any actor. You have to totally like sublimate in that sense. Otherwise, you will be at loggerheads with even your character if you're questioning things. Like if you are like if I get accused of these really empowered characters with a lot of agency, and I've even films I've chosen like Section 375 or Madam Chief Minister. They're commercial films, but they always have me like a sexual harassment lawyer, or they'll have me play like this Dalit student leader who wants to become a chief minister and things. Are very different, socially aware characters. So in those, I have to have a lot of ethics in my being for that. And if I start looking at that and then contextualize it with a character like Lajo, who's actually disempowered, a hopeless romantic, self-destructive, taken to the bottle, if I start to judge her being like, oh, she has no agency, then I won't be able to get to the heart of it.
right. One of the things that I've been reading in reviews of Heeramandi, it's something that I don't personally agree with, but I just want to know what you think about it.
Yeah.
Sanjay Leela Bhansali glamorizes the pain of tawais, and because you're presenting them in such a way that the pain doesn't seep through to the outside. What
Oh,
is your take on that?
my take is that why only Tawaf? He glamorizes everything, all pain. He'll glamorize a woman wearing all her jewelry and walking into the fire. He'll glamorize, a man just getting drunk to the point of dying. There have been other Devdases, right? With Dilip Kumar and a
Right.
Bengali version, and even Anurag Kashyap's Devdi. Why is it that his becomes so iconic? Because he's known for his canvas also. So I just feel like, yes, he glamorizes the wives, but that's because that's his style. He glamorizes everything, you know, especially pain, especially unconsummated love, and things like that. Virtue, purity, virginity, I would say. So I don't think it holds per se squarely on this life. I honestly feel like he has a lot of empathy for these women. You know, there are like he does his Baroque style, but in Gangubai, the moments where all the women sort of come together, they're incredibly moving for anyone. He just gets to you somehow. Like, and I love that about him.
I think it's a you either like his style or you don't like his style. I don't
Yeah.
think there can be a middle path with Bhansali. It's
Yes.
like I don't think you can say I kind of sort of. I don't think that's what
No.
it's like. I love him or I hate him. I think
Yeah.
that's what happens.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that beyond a point, he doesn't care. In his head, he's like on a mission of some kind, like to make these stories and to revive classical forms of music or embroidery or fabric. In his head, he's trying to carry on the legacy of a Kamal Amrohi or a K. Asif or a
Right.
Guru Dutt.
Like I was speaking to another actor from the film,
Huh.
and I like the logic that was given was like, why should suffering always be like a lower middle class setting, for instance, or something like that? Why can't a person who is rich and has a lot of things, don't they have their own moments of pain or suffering or whatever it is?
Of course.
So
I
that
just,
was,
no, for sure. I mean, I think suffering can come in all forms. I mean, Zoya Akhtar for the longest time was accused of posh pain, like will dil dhadakne do, and but that touched upon so many things, sexism, gender
yeah.
within the family in a Punjabi setup. I'm Punjabi, I know how that operates. And then she did Gully Boy, and it's just, I just feel like people uh, are very clear, especially directors, about what they want to make. So it's totally fine. I don't think he glamorizes anything. And that accusation in itself is kind of like saying these fallen women. No one who has had a. I worked on a film actually where about trafficking, human trafficking called Love Sonia, I think in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2018.
I've seen that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's the opposite. It's actually hell on earth. If you see the lives of those women, the kind of research that I did to go into that mind space. But again, I think that there was a certain amount of like structure within that, in the sense that we had a foreign makeup artist who was constantly putting oil on our hair, making the makeup in such a way that I felt like that was a very Western gaze to this, because women who are to be enticing or available to sex for solicitation will neither all dress the same nor be greasy and dirty. They will still take care of themselves. I have actually hung out with women in Kamatipura at 4 or 5 o'clock when they are waking up. And they have freshly washed hair, they're eating their boiled egg and rice, getting ready for the rigors of the day. And it's not that. So I'm saying, I think people will never be happy entirely.
Yeah. So I basically, it's like, don't stereotype.
Don't stereotype of any in any way. But that's his world. He's never claiming historical accuracy,
Right.
and it's his fantasy.
Yeah. That's the. I think that's what it
He
is, because
creates
I.
fantasy. He
Yeah.
creates dreams. He creates a larger than life canvas.
And I also, like, for example, your character, I think one of the interesting things is how he reinterprets Meena Kumari from Pakiza
Yeah,
in such a short time.
yeah,
Because it's like such a trope, right, of dancing at the wedding of your beloved,
lover.
right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's such a, like,
yeah,
of that time, if you're a tawaif or whatever it is, that was such a big thing that it's like it's going to happen. Even in Ram Teri Ganga Maili, that was one
yeah,
thing. And after Mandakini becomes a Mujre Wali, that happens because she's called to the wedding of this guy she loved once and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
I think to see those things come back again after such a long time, it's also like a little bit of a time machine.
Yeah, it is really. I like with him. I feel like he's a real old soul. Like his normal
Yeah.
house is very, very modest and basic, but he lives on the set for the most part. Like for 16 hours a day he's on a set, which is all of those things, and he's trying to surround himself with like thumris and ghazals and classical music, and he wants to carry those things ahead and those things forward. He's an encyclopedia in Hindi film, in the lives of people he loves, like Madhubala and Meena Kumari and all of these women, and really comes from a place of a lot of love and veneration.
So when you get a part in an 8 episode series,
Yeah,
and it's a small part,
yeah.
but a powerful part, but did
I
you,
picked up this part
right?
actually.
You've said
Yeah.
that, but is it
There was
also,
other parts that were offered to me. At that time, Sir was the showrunner. There was another director attached to it. Somehow I didn't connect with those because they had a lot of gray shades. And I thought it shouldn't be that the audience will see me and they'll be like, oh, now she's going to pick up a gun and she's concealing this weapon inside, or she's going to kill this person, or she's going to go the completely dark route. I wanted to do quintessential Bollywood things, but with my own take on it, make it really challenging and heartbreaking.
right, as an outsider,
Yeah.
what was the toughest thing for you to crack in the industry?
Just the ecosystem, I would say, actually, not understanding that I was so naive when I did when I went to promote Gangs of Wasseypur. It took me a while to realize that, oh, I'm going for an interview. I legitimately can ask for makeup and hair.
Oh,
Uh, or a stylist, or these are the trappings of what like it has to be in front of the camera. So it's kind of like ungroomed and just being myself and my. I think it happened because I also came from theater, where none of this mattered. So yeah, I would say just navigating the ecosystem,
Right.
getting the right advice, figuring out what PR is, what even management is, and how things work, things like that.
Things like that. Okay.
Yeah,
Now, in an interview, again about the ecosystem, you said that in Bombay, if you do a supporting part,
yeah,
then it demotes you because they no longer see you as a heroine.
yeah,
And yet, there's a film like Panga where
yeah,
Kangana is the heroine,
yeah,
and you do this very
yeah,
important supporting part.
yeah.
So, how do you decide, ki, like,
I kind of opted out of a lot of scenes in that one, I'll tell you.
okay,
Yeah, towards the end. I'm excited about it because I thought the film will be about female athletes and how the choices are even more tough in between having a child and,
right.
that was the thing. But somewhere along the line, it went south for me. So I was like, give me a guest appearance and I will move to
Oh,
this
otherwise, it
side.
was a more like a parallel kind of thing.
I would say it had more meat. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So then you're pretty sure about that. You're not
It's not about the supporting part, the small part, the special appearance. None of that really matters to me because I feel like I hold my own no matter where I am. In term, and then I'm only worried about like building credibility. The parts that are for me, they just come to me. Like in the sense that the filmmakers then don't see anyone else in those parts. But having said that, those parts are very few.
ah, okay. So, but you do mean that in the Bombay sense, you are demoted when you do supporting roles. Is that does that still happen?
I think it's changed a lot, but perhaps it still happens. I wouldn't know
Right.
because I'm also always on the fringe of things. I'm never in your face. I'm never, lobbying very hard to get a role.
Most of the roles that you've done are roles that have come to you.
Yes,
Yes.
like we have this for you. Would you want to do it?
Nice, nice.
Yeah. If I'm lucky, I get a call from a Bhansali Saab even after turning down one, two other roles in the same show. Then be like, this will interest you, so come.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. So, finally,
Yeah.
we were talking about Meena Kumari's role in Pakiza that you kind of compressed into that Lajjo character.
Yeah.
If you were to have the career of one of the older Hindi actresses, which who would you pick?
I think Meena Kumari and Wahida Rahman. Wahida Rahman had a really beautifully diverse career, I would
Yeah.
say. She did the films in the 50s and the 60s, the work with the Guru Dutts of the world, and going into uh, just like guide and things that were pretty challenging for the time also. Film about adultery, about a woman wanting to live her own life.
Yeah.
I really admire that. Or even Rekha ji, I mean, such diversity
Yeah.
in choices. Working with Rishikesh Mukherjee, also doing Khoon Bhari Maang, also doing Umrao Jaan. I honestly, like, to be fair, I don't think that any of us have half the range that these women did.
You think so?
I really think
Because
so.
that was also a different kind of acting, right? It's like,
It was a different kind of acting for sure, but when they got these other parts also, they
oh,
were,
like when Rekha did a Kalyug or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. Yeah,
they
yeah.
were no less. Or when Shabana Azmi did Amar Akbar Anthony and did Ankur and other things, she's no less than any of the other mainstream heroines of the time.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that fascinates me. Now, I don't you think that now that filmmakers are like, we will not give a lip sync number to say, forget about me, but like Shahana Goswami or Tilotama Shom or Tanishta Chatterjee or Priyanka Bose.
Yeah.
These are all actresses who are really guarding their jhandas abroad, doing phenomenal work year after year. Look at Kanni Kusruti. She's in the film we produce, Girls Will Be Girls. What a year she's having. She'll be at Cannes with Payal Kabadia's film.
Yeah.
I mean, so in a sense, it's always in the minds of the maker that these women cannot and must not do it. But even a Konkana does an Omkara also. It does lip sync songs in, I think, Laga Chunari Mein Daag or whatever. Does Life in a Metro. Takes a little hiatus and comes back with Killer Soup.
Yeah.
Just, I love her, you know.
Yeah, I
So,
think the boxing has become stronger. Whereas
yes.
earlier maybe it wasn't so much.
Yes, that's why you have to keep breaking the box. That's
Right.
why I don't want to do a grey character in Heeramandi because that'll squarely put me back in the box of very classical acting, which is again, they expect me to go to a dark shade. Let me be the loser and self-destruct
Right, right.
in
You know,
that way.
I'm reminded of this line "जलने में क्या मजा है परवाने जानते हैं." That पल
Ha,
पल दिल के पास. You remember that
ha, ha.
song? That lovely Kishore song, right?
Yes, yes,
You're
yes.
that Parvana. That.
Yes. She's slowly inching towards her own death, wanting to live in the world of delusion. And I want that setup to be there for the rest of the show also.
Yeah.
It leaves you with a gut punch. It reminds you of the real issues of like betrayal and this did happen. A lot of people promise their mistresses or their wives like a house or a property, and then after they were gone, these women were sort of abandoned. And before that, they were, drenched in jewels and all that. And what happens to your psyche when you're like sort of, just when you're done, when your use is not there?
Nice, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I do hope that you end up with the career of a Rekha or a Wahida Rahman, because I think
Or
you're
a
already
taboo,
halfway there.
or
But it's like,
like there's so many incredible actresses. I'd actually love to do more work in the South with the kind of stuff that's happening.
would language be a problem?
You'll be surprised to know that I can read and write Tamil. I can understand Kannada. I mean, I can get around in Bangalore on my own.
Nice.
And because Tamil and Malayalam also have a hint of similarity, I'm watching Malayalam films like a hawk all the time. Some of my best directors whose films I eagerly wait for are all from Chennai, whether it's Paranjeet or Vetrimaran,
Yeah.
Liju Joseph Puliseri. I'm watching all of this and I
Yeah.
really would love to explore this side. Language will not be a
Not be a
problem.
bad problem.
No.
So here's to that. Thank you so much, Richa.
Sure. Thank you.
Bharath Institute of Higher Education and Research, Chennai. Admissions open for BTech, BSc Agri, BPharm, Nursing, Paramedical and Arts and Science courses.